Hello, my name is Nanelle Hairston, and I am the Education Coordinator at New Life Pregnancy Center in Decatur, Illinois. And that is where I have completed my practicum for my Master's of Public Health from Liberty University. I want to talk to you a little bit today about what I did during my practicum and what exactly it involved. The majority of the work that I did specifically for my practicum was comparing an 8-day versus 5-day presentation for New Life Pregnancy Center's sexual risk avoidance curriculum. And I want to give you a little bit of a backstory into the sexual risk avoidance curriculum that we have developed and why we've developed it and what its purpose is moving forward even after I finish this practicum. I've been at New Life Pregnancy Center for about 5 years now, teaching sexual risk avoidance in local area schools. And something has become very, very confusing, if you will, to me, and that is, why is sex different? Why do we treat sex differently than any other health risk behavior? We don't have safe drunk driving seminars for high school students. We don't have safe heroin usage seminars for students. That would be considered ludicrous. But when it comes to sexual education for young people, we all of a sudden want to give them some kind of safe sex alternative, as if condoms and birth control are 100% effective, and they're definitely not. And I don't understand why sex doesn't typically follow the traditional health model that most public health professionals would use. For example, when we want somebody to quit smoking, we don't offer them or encourage them to just smoke a couple a day. The goal of an anti-smoking campaign would be to completely eliminate smoking from their lives, because we know the dangers of smoking. Well, we also know the dangers of sexual risk behaviors, especially with teenagers, but for some reason sex is different. And I think a lot of that has to do with our culture. You can go ahead and advance your slide there. The current state of our culture is very, very sexualized. It's very challenging for an adult or a young person especially to turn on the television, to watch a movie, to listen to music that doesn't have some kind of sexual content in it. And not just sexual content, but actually encouraging them to be sexual. The average teenager will consume almost 448 minutes of media a day, and that's like a low estimate with multimedia, and social media and media multitasking. So we're talking about a third of their lives or more spent consuming media and getting all of these sexual messages. And the results of that has led us to where we are today, where we have 22 per 1,000 15 to 19-year-old girls becoming pregnant. That's about 750,000 girls every year who become pregnant in the United States. Teenagers, who only account for about 25% of the United States population, account for more than half of all of our sexually transmitted infections, at like 10 million new cases a year. Sexually active teens, we know, are more likely to engage in other health risk behaviors like drinking alcohol, drugs, things that we know can be detrimental to their health. 9% of teens have committed a sexually violent crime. So the result of our exploitation of sexual behavior are definitely affecting our young people, and we have to figure out what we're going to do about that. And that's a big part of what New Life Pregnancy Center does. About 20 years ago, New Life Pregnancy Center began to go into the local public and private schools and present what we would call traditionally an abstinence education program. New Life is committed to promoting the behavioral health and social and emotional well-being of vulnerable young people through a strength-based, positive youth development approach. And they've been doing this for almost 20 years. Well, a few years ago, we realized that we kind of needed to change not our message, but maybe our approach and our methods that we were using to spread that message, just with the shift in the culture. So New Life began to develop what we call the Sex Sanity Sexual Risk Avoidance curriculum about 3 years ago. And in order to better our program and continue to maintain that strong relationship that we have with the schools, New Life is now trying and working with an external evaluator to make the Sex Sanity curriculum evidence-based, so that we are able to actually tell teachers and superintendents and administration that, hey, this program actually works. And what was a 5-day presentation has now turned into an 8-day presentation, or 8 45-minute different presentations. Education is really going to be key to change. Go ahead and advance your slide there. The objectives of the Sex Sanity curriculum are to support personal attitudes and beliefs that value sexual risk avoidance. The goal obviously is optimal sexual health. If it was a safe sex message, then we would be kind of promoting okay sexual health. But we want young people to strive for the best sexual health that they can have. And we know that waiting till marriage to have sex is the way that they can do that. We want to acknowledge and address common rationalizations for sexual behavior, improve insight on independence from negative peer and social norms, enhance the knowledge of healthy relationships, advance your slide. Build personal competencies and self-efficiency to review sex. We will do role-playing activities with them. Identify and reduce the opportunity for sexual activity, teaching them to set boundaries to help keep themselves out of those situations where they would be more likely to engage in sexual risk behaviors. Enhance the knowledge of physical health. We talked to them about fetal development, teen pregnancy, understanding the physical risks involved if they choose to engage in sexual risk behaviors, talking to them about sexually transmitted diseases and infections. Ultimately, a big part of a good SRA program as well is going to be to strengthen any future goals, to get them to really focus on where do they see themselves in the future and how can waiting till marriage to have sex help them get there. We also want to encourage them to commit to waiting till marriage to avoid sexual activity. And really a big difference between a sexual risk avoidance curriculum and a sexual risk reduction is that we encourage students to communicate with their parents. We really want parents to be a vital part of their child's sexual health. We want them to have open lines of communication, and we want to encourage students to do that. So what we've done during the last 4 months during this practicum is we have worked to compare the old 5-day presentation with the new 8-day presentation, because we want to make sure that the changes that we've made are going to be effective in changing the knowledge and attitudes about sex with the students that we teach. Over a 12-week time period, we taught thousands of students, but in this particular study, we used 351 total students in 8 different schools. The 5-day presentation was taught in 4 different schools to 889 students, and the 8-day presentation was also taught in 4 different schools to 162 students. And because we wanted to have similar demographics, that's why our numbers are a little bit smaller than we wanted, but we feel like we were able to sample evenly both the 8-day and the 5-day with the demographics of the students. And only students who completed a pre and post survey were factored into the results, all right? And we also had to make sure that students filled out an informed consent from their parents, because again, we want parents to be involved. You can change the slide there. You'll see a sample survey. These are the questions that we ask the students. There are 10 true or false questions that kind of gauge how they are changing knowledge-wise, and then we have 6 attitudinal questions that we ask the students about. What are their intentions towards waiting till marriage to have sex? Do they think it's a good idea? And so on and so forth. Change slide, please. Our results were very encouraging. In both our 5-day and our 8-day presentation, we saw positive changes in every question except for just one in the 5-day presentation. And we're looking at that to see maybe what could have caused that or what we need to do to change to make those numbers better. But overall, every other question saw a significantly positive change in results. And when we look at the difference between the 5-day and the 8-day, all but 3 of the questions fared better with the 8-day than they did in the 5-day, and then one had absolutely no difference. So we're very encouraged to see that our 8-day presentation actually is doing better than the 5-day presentation, which makes sense because they're going to have more of a dosage of the material. They're going to get a more thorough presentation, more information, more time with our educators. So it makes sense that the 8-day did better, and that's what we thought would happen, and we're encouraged to see that it did. If you advance the slide, you're going to see a comparison between the pre-questionnaires and the post-questionnaires for both the 5-day and the 8-day. And again, as you look at those, you will see that the 8-day overall fared much better than the 5-day. But what's very encouraging, if you advance the slide, again, you can see just another comparison there between each of the questions. But what's very encouraging is that every question did better, which indicates that moving forward, New Life is very prepared to start this formal evaluation. And so what's next? Advance your slide. Myself, Nanelle Hairston, I'm going to collaborate with our Sex Sanity educators. What we really want to do now is fine-tune the curriculum. We want to make sure that everything we're teaching is working. So things that maybe didn't work so well, during the last 12 weeks. We're going to change those up a little bit. We're going to maybe work on some activities to maybe make our point a little stronger with the students. And then we're going to begin working with Evans evaluation during the spring 2017 semester. The first semester will be spent as kind of a pre-evaluation, working with Evans evaluation so they can kind of gauge, hey, maybe you need to make a change here, you need to make a change there. And then what we'll do, hopefully starting fall 2017, is we will begin our formal evaluation. And this is so exciting because what hopefully will happen at the end of about a year and a half process is we'll be able to say that the Sex Sanity curriculum is evidence-based. And what that means is not only are we going to have more credibility in our community, but now we can take what we've learned and we can share it with other pregnancy centers, other health departments, agencies across the country, and so they can help spread a positive sexual risk avoidance message to who knows how many students. So that's what we're planning on doing moving forward. And over the last 12 weeks, just the information that I've gained during this practicum has been so helpful. And I'm so excited to see what we're able to do with it, and just really blessed to have this opportunity to share with you what we've been able to do at New Life Pregnancy Center. So thank you for your time, and Merry Christmas.